we're coming up on Christmas time here, and my favorite Christmas movie of all time is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Shitter's full.
And there's a famous scene and kind of a famous line in the movie when the guy knocks on the door and Clark thinks it's his Christmas bonus finally arriving, like at the last minute on New Year's Eve, right? And he's all excited and he gathers everybody around and he opens it up. And it is his Christmas bonus, but instead of it being the big check that he thought it would be, it was a subscription to the Jelly of the Month Club, a 1-year subscription to the Jelly of the Month Club. And Cousin Eddie is standing there and he has the famous line. He says, "Clark, it's the gift that keeps giving the whole year round." That it is, Edward, that it is. Florida State is college football's version of this, the gift that just keeps on giving year round. It really feels at this point like we're almost being trolled. It seems like Florida State is having a contest amongst itself. Like it's a contest between the football team, its football fans, and its football administration. Like those three things are having a contest amongst themselves to see who can embarrass themselves the most. And the way it's taking shape kind of is that depending on what time of year it is, that tends to dictate which of those three things is currently embarrassing themselves the most. Of course, during the offseason, it was the Florida State fans, right? All offseason leading up to the start of this season. Never-ending crying and whining about last year and getting left out of the playoff. And we had players opt out of the bowl game. And we can't win because our school doesn't make enough money. And just on and on and on. Just blaming Kirk Herbstreit, blaming ESPN, blaming the SEC, just blaming their own conference, suing everybody. The fans just completely humiliated themselves all offseason. Well, then the football team takes the field to start the season, right? And they go, you are not, Florida State fans, going to embarrass yourselves more than we're going to embarrass ourselves. And they travel all the way across the world to Ireland to get beat by Georgia Tech. And it turns out that was one of their best losses of the year. They, of course, ended up going 2-10. Their only other win, their two wins were Cal and Charleston Southern. The worst season of Florida State football in half a century. Just absolutely pathetic. Every single Saturday during the course of the season, Florida State's football team went out and embarrassed and humiliated themselves. Luckily for the Florida State football team, that long national nightmare has come to an end. We're now into the postseason of college football, and once again, Florida State has decided to opt out. Actually, they didn't decide to do it this time. The decision was made for them. You see, when you go 2-10, you're not accepted into any kind of postseason. You're just not good enough. So Florida State's players don't have to decide to quit on their team, their school, their university, their fans, and their teammates this year, like they did last year, because there's nothing to quit. Or, I'm sorry, there's nothing to opt out of this year for the Florida State football team because they embarrassed themselves so bad over the course of the season that they're not invited to even participate this year in the postseason. And, of course, having the season they had is hilarious anytime it happens. But the fact that it happened after last season and the way the fans acted in the offseason makes it seem kind of like poetic justice. And now that the season is ended, whose turn is it now to embarrass themselves? Well, apparently it's the Florida State administration's turn. The fans had their turn in the offseason leading up to the start of the season. Then the team went over. The team took over at the start of the season and shit all over their foot for 3.5 straight months during the college football season. And now here we are, Florida State's off season. It's not the off season yet for a lot of other teams, including mine, but it is the off season for Florida State. And it is now the turn of the Florida State administration. Florida State's administration is now claiming, hey, we never said we wanted to leave the ACC. What are you talking about? What do you mean? We never said that. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Let me just go over this article real quick, and then we'll get back to reality, because this is the land of make-believe that we're looking at here. Headline, USA Today. After formal ACC exit notice, Florida State now says, quote, we never said we wanted to leave. Yeah, you did. Of course you did. Let's read some of the article here. Nearly 16 months after its formal notice of withdrawal from the ACC. That's right. 16 months ago, Florida State formally announced its notice to withdraw from the ACC. That's a fact. What does Florida State say today? Hey, we never said that. Yeah, you did. Florida State has taken a new and odd public stance as its acrimonious lawsuit against the conference continues to play out. Who said we ever wanted to leave the ACC? Listen to this. Quote, we're in the league the last time I looked. FSU athletic director Mike Alford told USA Today Sports, who's down there in a convention, the Sports Business Journal Intercollegiate Forum. We never said we wanted to leave the league. Sir, you literally filed a formal notice with the ACC that you wanted to leave. You literally filed the paperwork. And an article tells you, actually, yeah, you did say that. In Florida State's December 2023 lawsuit against the ACC, they come with receipts here. Page 32 of the 38-page complaint, item 151 states, Florida State be deemed to have issued its formal notice of withdrawal from the ACC under section blah, blah, blah of the AC Constitution, effective August 14th, 2023. We're notifying you as of August 2023 that we're leaving. We want out. Now, today, December 2024, hey, we never said that. You know, the obvious question you're going to ask Florida State officials at some sort of public forum like this is, hey, what's the latest on your bid to leave the ACC? Like, you have to know that question is coming. And how do they answer the question? By going, huh? What do you mean leave the ACC? We never said that. At issue is the school's media rights, which go through 2036. According to Florida State officials, tops out at $42 million annually, $30 million behind SEC schools. During an August 23 meeting, the Florida State Board of Trustees said it wanted an exit plan from the ACC by August of 2024. And that, of course, was the notice that was filed in December. Quote, it's not a matter of if we leave, but when and how. That's a direct quote from board member Drew Weatherford during the 2023 Florida State board meeting. It's not a matter of if we leave, but when and how. That's from a year ago. Now, hey, we never said that. What do you mean? Reality is setting in. We're going to get to it in a second. Okay, let's finish this up. When asked yesterday, Weatherford at the forum said, who's the founding partner of Weatherford Capital, blah, 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 softened his stance from 2023. Well, there's a lot of potential answers to the problem, Weatherford said. Long term, it's going to be hard to compete if you're at that financial disadvantage. I want to remind everyone listening right now that SMU just played in the ACC championship game for zero money. SMU is receiving zero TV money as part of their deal to enter the ACC. Florida State is saying they can't win because they're only making $40 million a year. It's just ridiculous. When asked if Florida State was still positioned to leave the ACC, Weatherford said, quote, we just have to solve the financial disadvantage. If we can do that where we are with the ACC, that's great. If we can't, I'm still open to the option that we need to find another conference. ACC commissioner declined comment. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's pretty clear what has happened here. And it's what a lot of people, myself included, have been telling Florida State fans on Twitter, on here, everywhere else over the last year or so, which is, hey, nobody wants you. Nobody wants Florida State. The Big Ten doesn't want them, and the SEC doesn't want them. Anywhere else Florida State goes, they're still going to be behind those two conferences financially. So I'm assuming Florida State has no interest in the Big 12 or whatever conference opens up out west or whatever else, right? Because the whole point is, hey, we can't win if we make less money than somebody else. Well, no surprise to me that the Big Ten and the SEC is not interested in Florida State. Let me put the article back up. Let's put the article back up real quick here because it actually goes through it a little bit here. Where is it? Right here. 3 people told USA Today earlier this spring that the Seminoles landing in the Big Ten or the SEC wasn't realistic. The sources spoke on condition of anonymity. The Big Ten, the people said, had reservations about Florida State's ability to be a strong, quote, partner moving forward. Now, I wonder why they would think that. Now, why would anybody in their right mind be hesitant about adding Florida State to their league? It's not like Florida State has sued their own conference recently. It's not like Florida State has sued their own TV partner recently. It's not like Florida State just went 2-10 and was one of the worst teams on the planet. No, it can't have anything to do with that, could it? The reason nobody wants you? This is hilarious. This is hilarious. Nobody wants Florida State and the headache that comes along with it. You think you're better than you are, okay? You think you're better than you are. The reality is you went out on a limb with nowhere to fall. You threw the ACC under the bus. You threw ESPN and your TV partners under the bus, just expecting the SEC and the Big Ten to come running to you with open arms. And guess what? That hasn't happened. It's hard to even remember this far back now because so much has happened since then. But when all this first started happening, Florida State and their fans thought that the SEC or the Big Ten would literally pay their buyout for them because they would want Florida. We want Florida State so bad, we'll pay the buyout. We'll even pay the buyout. Like if a school wants to hire a coach away from another school and that coach is under contract and has a buyout, the school will go, well, we'll pay the buyout. We want you that bad. Florida State expected that to happen. Their fans definitely did, and it didn't. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you. You can't win a football game. Your fans are some of the dumbest on the planet. This is hilarious to me. And so now Florida State is trying to backtrack publicly away from the position that they publicly took a year ago and have been taking for over a year, which is we want out of the ACC. They're backing out of all that by claiming, whoa, now, come on now. We never said we wanted out of the ACC. Oh, yeah, you literally said it. You literally filed a court document stating that. Y'all are pitiful.